darkness, my old friend.
You cried to them in the dark, but behind those melodies hid personal tragedies, covered up suicides, and a profound isolation that no one wanted to hear. Today, you're going to discover the real pain behind the tears of your idols. Number 15, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. The most famous acoustic tribute in history covers up the mental destruction of a friend.
So you think you could tell?
Syd Barrett lost his mind completely. The band was recording in the studio while their former frontman and founding genius wandered the halls, completely unrecognizable. He was physically present, but his mind was millions of miles away on a one-way trip.
How I wish you were here.
The guilt of seeing him turn into a living ghost tore them apart inside. They left this acoustic wound bleeding to warn us about excess.
Running over the same old ground. What have we found?
It's about the sheer helplessness of watching someone you love fade away, even while they're still breathing. You can look up the full lyrics on Google, but that unbearable emptiness already burned right through you. An emptiness that others use to remind us of our own expiration date. Number 14, Kansas, Dust in the Wind. The acoustic anthem of 1977 is a brutal reminder of our own mortality. Far from the ego of rock stars, the band wrote this terrifying confession. They accepted that all the money, the fights, and the monuments we build are absolutely worthless against the passage of time and imminent death.
Crumbles to the ground.
The violin isn't just a simple arrangement. It's the grim reaper whispering in your ear that we will all end up swept away without leaving a single trace. It demands we accept that we are insignificant and that everything will eventually turn to ash. You can read the lyrics on Google, but you already knew the end is inevitable. That same heavy dose of reality snatched everything from a young Brit in a single night. Number 13, The Beatles, Yesterday.
Yesterday, all my trouble.
The simplicity of absolute heartbreak was dreamed up in the middle of the night by Paul McCartney.
Oh, I believe in yesterday.
He woke up with this melody and discovered the terror that everything good can vanish in a single second. It's the raw slap in the face of opening your eyes, realizing you've ruined your present, and knowing you're now condemned to live trapped in the past.
Why she had to go.
The use of the lone acoustic guitar and a string quartet perfectly isolated the singer in his own unrecoverable misery. It talks about the suffocating regret of hurting the right person for no reason. Look up the lyrics on Google, but that guilt crushed your chest instantly. A guilt so massive, it managed to break even the most feared man on the planet. Number 12, Black Sabbath, Changes.
I feel unhappy.
The Prince of Darkness threw off his black armor to cry like an abandoned child.
I'm going through, yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne left aggressive heavy metal behind to sit alone at a piano. Completely shattered, he used this ballad to mourn ruining the only relationship that mattered in his life, showing his broken heart without any filter or pride. The raw vulnerability of a man who terrified parents but couldn't save his own home silenced music critics. It's the confession of someone taking all the blame after destroying his own life. You can look it up on Google, but that funeral piano wasn't asking for forgiveness. Though when it comes to heartbreaking goodbyes, no one topped a dying man smiling in the face of the end. Number 11. Terry Jacks, Seasons in the Sunday.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
The softest melody of 1974 is actually a raw suicide note.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
A man who knows perfectly well he's going to die decides to say goodbye to his best friend and his family. They hid the devastating lyrics under an almost childish rhythm, generating a macabre contrast between the protagonist's impending death and the cheerful music.
Every time that I was down,
The auditory deception was a lethal blow. Thousands of people smiled as they sang along to a tragic goodbye, not realizing they were celebrating a premature funeral on the radio.
we had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
It chronicles the resignation of leaving behind the light and your loved ones. Look it up on Google, but that goodbye made your blood run cold without warning.
Like the seasons have all gone, all our lives we had fun.
A loss that sometimes forces us to carry the weight of the entire world. Number 10. The Hollies, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. The definitive anthem about brotherly sacrifice hides an absolutely bleak conclusion.
He ain't heavy.
The story talks about carrying a fallen brother, no matter how tired you are. But the real stab to the heart comes when you realize the greatest sadness isn't carrying an enormous weight, but looking around and having no one worth sacrificing yourself for.
On we go.
The weeping harmonica at the end reveals the internal tragedy. The singer prefers extreme physical exhaustion over facing total loneliness. It talks about the human need to care for someone else to give meaning to our existence. Look up the lyrics on Google, but you knew exactly who you'd carry in your arms. A useless sacrifice when all of humanity seems to be digging its own grave. Number 9. King Crimson, Epitaph. The terror of the future morphed into the darkest warning of the late 60s.
Confusion will be my epitaph.
The band looked at the supposed progress of the world and panicked. They understood that all our knowledge and technological advancement would just end up being the epitaph carved into the tombstone of the human race. They denounced a collective suicide camouflaged as civilized evolution.
Between the iron gates.
That deep, inescapable pessimism left an indelible mark on progressive rock, warning of an imminent apocalypse no one wanted to hear. It's about watching the collapse of humanity, knowing it's our own fault. Read the lyrics on Google, but the fear had already paralyzed you. A fear that many rockers covered up wearing masks of violence and aggression. Number 8. The Who, Behind Blue Eyes.
To be the sad man.
The anthem of male loneliness tore down the myth of the tough, untouchable rocker.
But my dreams, they aren't.
The band's frontman confessed the pain of always being cast as the villain of the story. Beneath that aggressive facade of smashing guitars, there was just a terrified little boy begging for someone brave enough to truly love him. The acoustic contrast shattered the protective armor, exposing to the whole world the hidden fragility behind the music industry's bad boy. It describes the isolation of building emotional walls that no one even tries to cross. Look it up on Google, but you knew that misunderstood loneliness all too well.
To be the sad man.
An isolation that sometimes pushed people to plan much more drastic solutions. Number 7. Gilbert O'Sullivan. Alone. Again, naturally.
A little while from now, I'm not feeling any less.
The darkest lyrics of the 1970s were disguised as a friendly, pleasant pop tune.
To think that only yesterday.
While families were eating breakfast, the singer calmly recounted his plan to throw himself from a tower after being left at the altar. Then he added the death of his parents to the story, injecting a depressive poison straight into the veins of morning radio.
In my hour of need, I truly am.
The hypocrisy of the musical arrangement left the industry in shock when they discovered they were dancing to the rhythm of an impending suicide. It's a total surrender to pain when life strips you of absolutely everything. You can look it up on Google, but the cynicism had already fooled you.
Alone again, naturally.
A lethal lack of understanding that centuries earlier had already destroyed a painting genius. Number 6. Don McLean. Vincent.
Starry, starry night.
This tribute to Van Gogh is a dagger straight to the heart of a society that marginalizes those who are different.
Shadows on the hills.
The singer portrayed how the world crushed a genius who was just trying to bring color to the darkness. He proved that people never understood his madness, pushing him into the most absolute loneliness and suicide amid the general indifference of everyone around him.
Eyes of china blue, colors changing hue.
The social condemnation was exposed forever on the radio. It confirmed that this world was never ready for someone so beautiful and broken.
I think I know what.
It talks about the frustration of giving away beauty and receiving only rejection and disdain. Look up the lyrics on Google, but human misunderstanding remained intact. That same misunderstanding sometimes forced artists to cut off communications forever. Number 5. David Bowie. Space Oddity. The ultimate metaphor for isolation was broadcast from the cold, absolute vacuum of space.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Major Tom isn't a hero. He's a man who gave up. He accepts he's not coming home, intentionally cuts off communications, and resigns himself to floating in the dark while the world keeps turning, uncaring about his impending physical disappearance. The voluntary disconnection terrified audiences of the era. It represented the raw desire to drift away from all of humanity and never come back.
I'm floating in the most peculiar way.
It's about isolating yourself when you realize nothing earthly makes sense anymore. Read the lyrics on Google, but that claustrophobia was already suffocating your chest. An absolute silence that, in the middle of the city, could be even more deafening. Number 4. Simon and Garfunkel. The Sound of Silence.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
The anthem for humanity's inability to communicate diagnosed the worst disease of modern society.
And the vision that was planted.
The lyrics expose the terror of being surrounded by thousands of people on the street and feeling like no one hears a word you actually have to say. It talks about crowds talking without speaking and hearing without listening to a single important word.
Hear my words and I might teach you.
The cold, calculating vocal harmony amplified the urban void, forcing the audience face to face with their own indifference.
And the people bowed and prayed.
It demands we wake up to the emotional disconnection that turns us into social ghosts. Look it up on Google, but the deafening silence had already struck you. Ghosts who often sit around waiting for what is never going to come. Number 3. Billie Holiday, Solitude. The deepest, most agonizing loneliness in history poured out of a woman sitting in total darkness.
In my solitude.
No one could match this level of pain. She sang with the shattered soul of someone left in the dark, waiting for a love she knows perfectly well will never walk through that door again. A self-inflicted torture with no expiration date in sight.
In my solitude.
Her voice dragged a real life of raw abuse and abandonment, soaking the recording in an authentic suffering that's impossible to fake.
I sit in my chair.
It chronicles the physical pain of being completely alone and losing all hope. You can read it on Google, but that dragging lament broke your bones. A helplessness that sometimes people try to stop with pure brute force, to no avail. Number 2. The Rolling Stones, Wild Horses. The definitive ballad about helplessness is the sound of an absolute, unmitigated defeat.
It's easy to do.
Mick Jagger understood that there are moments when you just can't hold on to the one you love. It's the desperation of knowing that, even if you had the strength of 1,000 wild horses to drag that person back, the battle is already lost forever, and there is nothing you can do. The sorrowful guitar buried the band's pride. It proved that even the kings of rock were left on their knees, begging uselessly on the floor.
Let's do some living.
It describes the agony of being forced to let go of what you want most. Look up the lyrics on Google, but the defeat had already crushed you.
We'll ride them someday.
A defeat that, in the early 60s, was cried out loud in front of everyone. Number 1. Roy Orbison, Crying.
I saw you last night, you held my hand so tight.
The ultimate vulnerability of the decade was sung without masks and with his heart completely on his sleeve.
Love you even more than I did before.
He didn't try to play the tough guy. He stood in front of the microphone and confessed to the entire world that he was destroyed. He didn't look for excuses or hide his pain under complex metaphors. He simply let the tears flow right in front of the conservative music industry.
Over you, cry.
His vocal cords hit notes that flawlessly mimicked human sobbing. He broke the mold of tough masculinity with pure tears. It's the courage to cry openly over an irreplaceable loss without feeling ashamed. You can look up the full lyrics on Google, but that broken voice had already disarmed you. Real pain always sounds the loudest.